Hello. Good morning. So, I'm going to try to get through this without coughing. I have an entire bag of cough drops. This is Travel Chat. This is the show where I use my super long commute to work through my personal development. I talk about using law of attraction in my daily life and how I do that and how you can do that too. I talk about the epiphanies I've had in the preceding 24 hours. Basically, every day I have an epiphany. Like, ever since I've started, it sounds really cheesy and corny, but I want to say I've been living my life on purpose for all of 2019. And even though that sounds kind of cliche or corny, or you hear a lot of people talking about living life on purpose, that is the best way I can describe how my year has gone. I've been intentional about everything I've done, intentional about the way I think about things, intentional about the actions that I've taken, and really reflecting and self-reflecting on my behavior, why I act the way that I do, and tackling issues one by one as they come up and working through them. So about maybe a month ago or something, maybe longer, I turned the camera on in the car while I was doing that, and I just I've kept it up just about every day of the week. So today's topic is supposed to be a question: do adults have peer pressure? But I don't know, I actually had an epiphany in the last 24 hours, and so I feel like, just being true to the premise of the show, I should at least give a little time to this epiphany. Or I can save it till tomorrow. So it's sort of baking. It's baking in my head. But really, like, normally, before the show had topics, it would be like this. I would turn it on and I would talk about what's going on in my head right now. But maybe I'll just save that for tomorrow and dedicate the entire 20, 30 minutes or whatever it is to that topic and give it the justice that it deserves. So I think I'll do that. So let's talk about peer pressure. Okay, so I think that peer pressure gets a bad rap. Because whenever we think about peer pressure, we think about negative peer pressure, right? We think about teenagers who are smoking or cutting school and all that stuff because they have friends that are smoking and cutting school. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I have, in my quest to be more intentional, I've gotten back online. I was off of all social media after my kids were born in 2015 until the end, maybe beginning of 2019 or late 2018. Actually, it was 2018 because I got back on to find these. I had been listening to podcasts, and in all the podcasts, they were like, join our free Facebook group and you'll get more, access to whoever's being interviewed or whatever the topic is. And so I wanted to be part of the Facebook groups that were having these amazing conversations that were being reported on the podcast. So I got a Facebook page in order to do that, and found that I could not find any of these amazing conversations that were supposedly happening in these Facebook groups. All I found in Facebook groups were people bitching and complaining about their life, their Etsy shop, their work, their everything. Like, I didn't find what I was looking for on Facebook. And just before I was going to deactivate my account, I found Michelle Rohr. And I joined the SOS Club in December of 2018. And it's like the rest is history. This past month, maybe two weeks ago, I joined the Power Manifesting Collective, led by Nick Bro, who is he's like an international transformational mindset coach. And if you don't quite understand what that means, Lisa Nichols is also an international transformational mindset coach. So that kind of gives you an idea of what he does. He rallies people around ideas of changing their life and changing their mind, because you change your mind, you change your entire life. So that's Nick Breau, Breau. You can find him on Facebook. He has a group. His group is called, what's his group called? The Alignment Academy. That's the free group. And Michelle Rohr, you can find her online. But I believe you have to have purchased like the Ultimate Life Binder or the Passive Income with Printables course, or be a part of the SOS Club to really find the great conversations. So that's that. So I came online. I joined a different group, like I said, in search of, and it didn't work out. I was about to delete it. I found Michelle. That's been my entire 2019, has been fueled by these wonderful relationships that I found with women who joined around the same time as I did, and some who have joined since, and some who had joined before, to be honest. But it's interesting because you feel like, or I should say, I feel like peer pressure is a childhood thing. Like my daughter right now is almost 4, and she wants everything that her friends at school have. Like she just immediately, oh, she has a Minnie Mouse backpack, I want a Minnie Mouse backpack. Oh, she has light up shoes, I want light up shoes. And you think of that as like peer pressure. But if we really look at peer pressure, it should go both ways. It should be good and bad. Because I've got a cough. By the way, this is not the same illness that I had before when I had the flu. It was like right when that one was healing up, some other opportunistic cold jumped right in there. So me and my daughter have a cold now, and I think my son is getting it too. Daycare germs. Hey, Ashley. So I'm talking about peer pressure. You have a little kid, so you probably get this too. I have a daughter who's almost 4. So, little kids, and it's normal. It's a natural part of development. They want what everybody else has. School just started back, and, the kids see what other people have. They want that too. And it's kind of like, I will indulge some of that because I get it. Like, you have to fit in. You have to swim with the other fish, whatever. I get that. But then, when we grow up, we totally pretend like that goes away. Like, we pretend like peer pressure doesn't exist. We pretend like we don't compare ourselves to other people, when it is still peer pressure. When you see somebody who's dressing nice, going to work, wearing heels or whatever, and you're like, dang, she can wear heels, I can wear heels. For me, I see people that are coming to work early, and I'm always struggling in the morning to get my stuff together, get my kids to school, get off, to work. And I'm like, dang, where does she live? Does she live as far away as I do? If she can get to work on time, I can get to work on time. You know what I mean? So we all have this pressure that comes from our peers. And our peers, when we're little, when we say peer pressure, it's like people of our same age. Little girl's 13, her friends are 13. She's gonna, either fall in with a good crowd or the bad crowd, be pressured to cut school, whatever. But our peers are different because we work in an environment where our peers are not always our same age. Somebody could be way younger than you. Somebody could be way older than you. And you may be peers because you have the same job, or you work at the same facility, or you work in the same organization. Hi, Tracy. I try not to read the thing while I'm driving so I can see who all's joining. Hi, Diane. Hi, Loki. But I'm not ignoring y'all. Y'all know I'm just driving. But I'm talking about peer pressure. And so our peers, in that case, when we're older, are like people who are on our same job level. So like if you're a nurse, your peers are other nurses, regardless of how old they are, how young they are, how many kids they have, if they're married, if they're single, whatever. Like, you just see that person's on your same level, and you start to compare yourself with what that person is, what they do, what they have. And it's like, we don't even give this the credit that it deserves in our, like, psychology, that this is still peer pressure. You know, we're still feeling an internal drive to perform or to compare ourselves or to dress like or to drive what, you know, someone else has, even though we're adults. And we act like, you know, we got it all together, right? Like, we act like, you know, I'm a grown up, you know, I'm doing what I want to do. No, baby, you are still succumbing to peer pressure. Like, you are not 15 anymore, but you're still acting like it. And I'm talking about myself too. Like, the other day, one of our nurses came on campus in a Mercedes Benz. I don't know why, because where I work, it is not uncommon, and Ashley, you know this, it is not uncommon for someone to, like, smash up your car, scratch up your car, bust your windows. Like, they will do that, and the state is not going to pay for it. They're not going to back you up. They're not going to pay for it. They're going to be like, park at your own risk. And she brought this beautiful Benz, and I was like, you know, and it kind of stung a little bit. But the particular person that it was, she is so classy, and I was like, that just confirms to me this girl is on another level. Like, she is a classy person. She's not always in the drama, the BS. She always has her stuff together, beautiful, wearing makeup, everything. And I was like, okay, that confirms right there that outside of this job where she's not, like, in scrubs, she's a whole different level of a girl. And that in me, that set off this whole spiral of thoughts. Not in a negative way, not in a like, why don't I drive a Benz? Wait, maybe I did think that. Maybe I was like, why don't I drive a Benz? I wouldn't drive it up there. But, you know, you get that kind of thought like, wow, you know, somebody really has their life together. And she may not. She may just have, like, tons of bills. I don't know. She could be paying $30 a month on the car. I don't know. It could be borrowed. It could be her, you know, dad's car. Who knows? You don't know. But the fact is that we act like we're above peer pressure. We act like just because I'm 42 that I'm not looking around and comparing myself amongst myself. And that is, it's okay when it's positive. It can be very detrimental if it makes you feel bad about yourself. Like, if you start to feel inferior, or your issues come up, or you get triggered by what somebody else has that you don't have, that's a problem. But what I wanted to focus on too is this idea of good peer pressure, because like I said, my kids are really tiny, but I've kind of always had in the back of my mind that once they get to that impressionable age, I'm going to do everything I can, it's cough drop, to immerse them in situations where they're around people who are more like them than not. So I pay really close attention. This is like one of the benefits of being an older mom, or like a settled down mom. Some people, I mean, I say settled down because if you're a younger mom, but you got your life together, you are focusing on your kids, then it has nothing to do with age. It just has to do with maturity. I wasn't mature until very recently. But I pay attention to my kids. My kids are actually what helped me to mature. Probably the number one reason why I did finally grow up. But I pay close attention to my kids because I want to know what their personality types are. I want to know what their strengths and weaknesses are, because I want to steer them more towards activities where they will find their tribe sooner than later. I want them to be around people who are going to give them peer pressure, but pressure them to be better in something that they're already good at, versus having them grow up kind of like I did, always trying to jump from tribe to tribe, trying to figure out who I was because I didn't know. And in all honesty, I was a chameleon. I went from one tribe to the next, putting on the skin, the clothes of the tribe, trying to figure out where I fit in. And that's probably what I'm going to talk about tomorrow when I talk about this other super epiphany I've had in the last 24 hours that actually left me crying in my walk-in closet. That sounds so superficial. I was crying in my walk-in closet. But, you know, I didn't want to say crying in my closet because it sounds like I'm jammed in there with a bunch of clothes laying on the floor. I wasn't. I was just in my closet, and I had this epiphany, and it broke me down. It totally broke me down. I'm listening to Mel Robbins' book called Take Control of Your Life, which should not be called Take Control of Your Life. That's a horrible title. So Mel Robbins, one day when you're watching this video on YouTube, I want you to know that's a horrible title. It should be called F You Fear. That's what it should be called. Just like that. Because she's basically coaching people through their fear. And it's 6 case studies. And as you listen to them, you hear her just actively coaching people through it. And you're like, holy crap, that's me. So one of them hit just a little bit too close to home. And I realized things about myself that I didn't know at all. Like I had the characteristics, but I couldn't put the pattern together. Because usually, like, if it's your pattern, you can't put it together. It's somebody on the outside who's experienced, who looks at you and say, you know what, this is what's going on with you. So I'm going through that book. I had this revelation, had this epiphany. It's changing my life. I know it's only been 24 hours, but I've been listening to the book for like 4 days. So little by little, all this information is really changing the way I think about my life, about my perspective, and about why I behave the way I behave, why I've had the patterns in my relationships, like all relationships, not romantic relationships, but all relationships, like family relationships and friendships, why I've had these patterns all this time. It's come out. Like she's made it extremely obvious. And also why in the last year and a half since the midlife crisis, why those relationships have changed, why some have become stronger, why some have been cut off, like why that's happened. It's made sense now. So when I would jump from tribe to tribe, group to group, trying on who they were, trying to wonder if this was who I am, it all makes sense now why I did that. It all makes sense. And why I don't do that anymore, and why I'm happier now, and why the people that I love me, because now I'm finally authentically myself, and it makes a huge difference in how you relate to other people. Mind blown. So I'm watching my kids, right? I'm watching my kids. They're twins, but they're completely different. I'm watching their strengths. I'm watching their weaknesses. And I know how. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to mess them up. My husband, we are going to screw up our kids because everybody is screwed up. No matter how perfect your life was growing up between the ages of 0 and 10, something is going to screw you up and you're going to have to deal with it later. And that's fine. That's life. You grow. But how can I screw them up as little as possible? Like, how can the things that they, have problems with not be major things like abuse, neglect, abandonment? You know what I mean? Like these heavy things. Like, how can they just be regular things that people deal with? So I'm looking at my kids. I'm deciding, my daughter's super athletic. She's not only athletically inclined, but she is gifted. Like, she could walk and also kick a ball when she learned to walk. And I was like, how I can't even kick a ball. My son crawled for like months and months and months after my daughter was already running. He was still crawling, but he's very intellectual. He likes puzzles. He likes 3-dimensional things. He can put things together. He's very smart. And so it's like, I can see where putting them both in soccer would severely damage my son. Just like when they were little, when they were infants, I put them in swim, and my son hated it. But my daughter loved it, and she could float all unassisted on her back with nobody holding her, and he just screamed the entire time. So it's like, when we're small, if we can better understand who we are and be celebrated and nurtured for the gifts that we have, because we all have gifts. And just because they're twins, not to say you better have the same gifts. You have the same genetics. You have the same gifts. No. But to celebrate the differences and to point them in the direction of the tribe that's going to help bring that out in them. Meaning the positive peer pressure. Like, the peer pressure that they have is from people who are actually doing the things that they are good at. And by comparison, because comparison is a human factor, by comparison, they want to be just as good, if not better, than their peers. That's what I want for my kids. Now, as adults, because all of us are watching here, we are older than 10 years old. As adults, this is what we need for ourselves. We need to have peers who are in our tribe mates. Now, your family, I got this from Lisa Nichols, right? This was an epiphany from Lisa Nichols' book, Abundance Now. Your family is not your tribe. Like, your family is your genetic tribe. Those are the people, those are your people. You can't get rid of those people. But they are not the people who are going to push you to be better, stronger, faster, smarter, more successful, more independent, you know, that kind of entrepreneur, that kind of nurse, that kind of doctor. Like, that's not your family's role. Your family's going to be that safe place that you land on, that you can come home, kick your shoes off, and just chill out and know that you don't have to be better, stronger, smarter, and all that in front of your family. You can just be the one who brings the potato salad to the picnic. Like, that's it. You don't have to be all this other stuff you have to be at work. That's the role of your family. But your tribe, those are the people that you see, you look up to, you ask questions, they push you, you push them, you encourage each other. And if you're in one of these Facebook tribes that I found when I first got back on Facebook in 2018, it was like around this time in 2018, where you're just in there, you're all bitching and moaning about the same thing. When somebody posts something about their Etsy shop sales going down, you chime in with your Etsy shop sales going down, and everybody's in there talking about Etsy is this and Etsy is that. That's not your tribe, right? Like, that's not positive peer pressure. So as adults, we can also choose a tribe that pushes us to be better than we would be by ourselves. And this topic came from the fact that yesterday I had an amazingly productive and awesome day. When I reflected on my day, let me tell you this first of all. So I got to get up early and go to work the next day, right? And I've been focusing on sleep as my self-care goal. It was 11 p.m. Actually, it was 10:59. And I said out loud, I said, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And then I was like, I looked at the clock because my whole family had left. Like, my kids had gone to bed. I didn't even tuck them in. My husband is home right now. He's home for the whole week. Thank God. And he had put the kids to bed. They had like washed up and brushed their teeth, all this stuff. I was oblivious. I was me and my computer. I was trying to get this email series built. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And that triggered me to look at the clock and be like, this is fun. What time is it? Because usually at work, I'm so drained and I look up and it's like 2 o'clock and I'm like, oh my God, I have 3 more hours. But it was 11 p.m. and I had been going all day. And I was having so much fun. I felt so light. I felt like I could keep doing it all night. And I had to stop myself and go to bed because I'm like, you got to go to work tomorrow. You got to drive for an hour each way. You need to be alert. So I went to bed. It was probably like almost 2. Yeah. So what I ended up doing, when I cut myself off of doing that, I finished putting up the email series. It was actually a lot of fun. I sat down and I had my happy planner and I was reflecting on the day, because what I do on my planner is for the daily planner part. I don't put like what my plans are for the day. On the monthly layout, I put like if I have to do something, you know, like I'm going on a trip or whatever, I'll put that, cough drop, I'll put that on the monthly planner. But on the daily planner, I'll put what I've done. So like a checkoff list, like this is what I did this day. So I was reflecting on my day and it was like the best day ever. Got up early, had breakfast with the kids because I didn't have to go to work yesterday and my husband was home, so he cooked breakfast for the kids. We took them to school together and then we went to the park. So I filmed like 12 videos in the park while he took his computer over to the library, which is about like around the corner from the park, and he was applying for his residency programs. And I finished filming all my videos, put my backpack on. It was a beautiful day, not too hot here in Texas, a nice breeze. I walked, yes ma'am, I walked from the park all the way to the library, which was like, I could have been walking on clouds. It was the best walk. If y'all don't know, so in Texas, you really can't walk hardly anywhere. For one thing, there are no sidewalks. But for the other thing, everything is so freaking far apart. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna walk to the store, you have to walk to where? Because just getting it's like Walmart's parking lot times 10. You're not walking anywhere. But yesterday we were in this tiny town, Katy, where we live. I say tiny, it's small, but it's not like a tiny town. But they had sidewalks. They definitely had a sidewalk from the park to the library. So I walked that way and I was smiling and I was so happy. And then we proceeded to stay in the library, which I am a nerd. Libraries are one of my favorite places on earth. Parks and libraries, my favorite places on earth. I feel like books are hugging me when I'm in the library. I had my Apple computer. I was sitting there. I had signed up for Donald Miller. He's the Building a Story brand author, and his whole job is story brand. He'll tell you how to brand your company so that people understand what the heck it is that you're selling. I had signed up for this webinar for Building a Story brand, and it was a live webinar. It came on at 10:30, so I started listening to it as I was walking. I had my earbuds in. I'm listening to this guy tell you what to do. So by the time I sat down in the library, I could pull out my computer, start working on my website and making it even better and more clear so people could know what my website is all about. Had a wonderful time. It was so much fun. It was just exciting and amazing. We left from there. My husband was like, I'm hungry. I hate eating when I'm off because it just breaks my momentum. Like you eat and then you stop and then you start doing something else. So I'm like, oh my gosh, no. So he's like, I'm hungry. We went to Schlotzsky's, which is my favorite place to eat. I love deli sandwiches, right? We're sitting in Schlotzsky's. It's about 2 o'clock. My coaching call is at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays. So I tuned into the coaching call, which was amazing. We're sitting in Schlotzsky's. He's on his phone, reading the news or whatever. I'm on this collective call and eating my food, and it's like 30 people or whatever on the call. And so it's not like they were watching me eat and everybody was doing their thing. We leave from there. It's pouring down rain. I run out in the rain like a little kid, just excited, getting all wet and everything. We go to Walmart and get a few little things. Actually, I got this calendar at Walmart that's beautiful. I hung it in my bathroom because I'm going to start doing weekly planning. Like that's my next goal for September, is to learn how to plan out my weeks ahead of time so I can be like less impulsive about what I have to do. So I got that. It was great. It was on sale because it's back to school. Like the whole day was perfect. Then we picked up the kids super early. I usually don't get to see my kids until like 7:30 in the evening. We picked up the kids at 3 o'clock. And for the whole rest of the day, I was coloring like with markers with my daughter, and my husband and my son were building something with these 3-dimensional Lego things they had bought. And then I started working on the email series, and it was just like the most magical, perfect day ever, ever, ever. And I was telling the girls in SOS Club last night when I had wrapped up my entire day. I just wrote a post, and I'm long-winded, so it was a long one. And I was just telling them like how my business is coming together, how the customer journey is coming together, like what pieces I've put in place and how I've put those pieces in place. And everything that I've done in this new business that I started in January of 2019 is from these ladies. I've learned it from these ladies. I've learned how to do it from them. I've asked them tons of questions. They've been patient to explain things. Michelle is amazing. Like, she gives us tutorials. Every single thing that I have been able to do has been because of an example of someone else. And if it's not a direct example, which it is, they're all directed. Like, I am not savvy enough in business to come up with these ideas by myself. Like, I've seen what they're doing and I'm like, okay, that could work for me because if I do this way. And so I've learned that way. And what I've brought to the table in my business is the fact that I knew that medicine wasn't a good fit for me. I knew that the parts of medicine that I really, really, really enjoyed were not doctor stuff. Like, I love interacting with people. I love coaching people through mindset shifts. So even what I did, hi, people have joined, hi. What I've done even with patients, right? So like the details of the medicine, yeah, that's fine. Like, I learned it. I was driven in school and all that stuff. I was really like an overachiever. But the part where I interact with patients, that's like coaching to me because I'm trying to help them get this mindset shift around their health. And so now that I see that other people are actually doing this as a career, like coaching, I feel drawn to that. So that's what I brought to the table. The idea that if there, and I used to pray this even from my very first job, I'd be like, Lord, if there is something else that I can do, please show it to me, and I will jump in with both feet. I will jump in wholeheartedly, and I will do it. And that's what happened to me basically this time last year. August of 2018, I found Michelle Rohr. I was listening to all these podcasts, and I was like, I could do this. I could do this. So I'm jumping in with both feet. So it may seem strange, as like I tested around a few things, trying out a few things, and then in January, I jumped in with both feet. My trademark is live. I don't know if I told you guys that. That's another thing I'm celebrating. My trademark is live, is of the middle of August, I think, beginning of August, middle of July. I don't remember. But yeah, so the trademark is live. Like everything I'm doing, I'm laying all the foundation because I'm really serious about this, because I know that this is where I need to be. But peer pressure, right? This may be where I need to be, but I've known that I needed to be somewhere for 15 years. So what is the difference between now and the last 15 years, when I was going to work every day, working really hard, being on call every third night, doing all the things? What is the difference between now, where I've done basically like 5 years worth of, I've made 5 years worth of progress in 8 months in a brand new business? What's the difference? Peer pressure. The peer pressure is the difference. The peer pressure, which needs a different term, because it's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. The push, the support, the encouragement, the community, all these things are what's helped me to even create anything. I had to see Michelle. I had to see the fact that it can be done. I had to hear Michelle in July. Michelle says, I made $16,000 this month in my business, and probably more. I had to see that. I had to hear somebody say, this is possible. I used to always say, I wonder what's possible. I wonder what's possible. This was like years ago. I lived in Cyprus, and I remember I had a friend who sold 31, and 31's motto that for that year was wonder what's possible, or something like that. And I would always say that, I wonder what's possible, wonder what's possible. But if you're surrounded by people who are not pushing themselves to be better, do more, try something new, have courage, because courage is the biggest thing. Even last night, when I was making this email series, I was telling myself, I'm not special, I'm just being brave. And I was telling myself that because I was putting out 8 videos of myself being imperfect on camera and linking them to something that any old stranger could sign up for and get directly to their email inbox, which is a very private place, by the way. Your email inbox, where, everybody can connect with you, and your family and your friends and everybody. Like, it's a private place. And now my face is going to be in there, and I'm going to be talking to people in their email inboxes. And I was just being brave. That's it. And I was like, there's nothing special about what I'm doing except that I'm being brave and I'm doing it. Because the only difference between the me of now and the me of 5 years ago is the me of now is doing it, and the me of 5 years ago was just thinking about it, talking about it, had no direction. And I can tell you this for sure, because I was telling the girls in SOS Club that I found, a bunch of old journals. Michelle had told us to throw out our old journals, because you journal for the process of journaling. Like, you're journaling to get out the feelings, to work through things, to get clarity. You're not journaling because you want, like, your grandchildren to read that book one day and be like, wow, grandma was pretty screwed up in 2014. So she's like, throw that crap away. And Jillian said that she burned hers. And I was like, dang, she lives off the grid. So I'm like, I probably can't burn them within the city limits, but I get your point. So I found these journals from 2011 and 2014, and I started reading them. And in the past, when I've found journals that I've started reading, it's been so depressing, because I'm like, 5 years ago, I was still asking myself the same questions. I was still struggling with the same goals. I was still just struggling, period, like with the same thing. It'd be like, complaining about a relationship, and the only thing that would be different was the person's name. Like everything else about the relationship is exactly the same. So I found these journals from 2011, 2014. I'm reading them, and they are the same issues. However, this time I have steps and I have processes and I've moved past them, and I have these same issues, but I'm actually fixing them. And I'm like, wow, what is the difference? The honest difference is the company that I keep. The honest difference is my community now. The girls, the SOS Club girls and the Power Manifesting Collective, the people there, like that is the only thing. And the collective just started, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I joined the collective. Before that, all of 2019, everything that I've done has been because the girls in SOS Club and Michelle and Amy, and just listening to them, their advice, their example, like their expertise. I'm not a graphic designer, but they have taught me so much that now I make graphics and I'm like, dang, that actually looks kind of cool, and every time I make it, it gets better and better. And it's not of anything of like I was born special. No, it's because I am surrounded by people, by women who are not taking no for an answer when it comes to their dreams, who are not going to be on their deathbed saying, well, I wish I had done this, but, I was married to this person, or I wish I had done that, but, I had this job, or I was too busy, or I had to clean the house, or whatever our excuses are, whatever mine used to be. It's like, no, I am taking the steps that need to be taken. And how do I even know what those steps are? My peers. Some of them are older than me. Some of them are younger than me. But we're all in the same group, which means that we're peers. And the pressure I get from them is like helping me. It's just like pushing me. So I'm super grateful. I'm super thankful. I want to thank Zuckerberg and his crazy self for even creating Facebook. I'm like, thank you, dude, because I wouldn't even know people in South Australia and New Zealand and England and Colorado. Like, I wouldn't even know these people if it weren't for Facebook. So yeah, I used to hate Facebook. Now I have to say I don't hate Facebook anymore because that's where my tribe is. And so it's amazing. So if you don't, I think everybody I've seen on here, you have a tribe, like your people. And just remember, your family is not your tribe. That's a whole separate thing. Like, your family is your genetic tribe, but they're not the tribe that's going to push you forward. If anything, your family's going to hold you back because they're going to try to protect you and be like, oh, don't start a business because businesses are failing. And it's like, well, I got a lot of ideas, so if that one fails, I'll just try something else, right? So it's like, you have to find like that group of people that's going to push you forward. And respect your family, of course, but let them not bear the responsibility to, encourage you in your business. Like, I try not to even talk about my business with my family because I don't want to put them in a position where they have to try to protect me, and it just makes me feel frustrated because I'm like, nobody supports me. They're not there to support you. That's not what they're for. So yeah, that's that. So I'm at work now. I don't know what time it is, but I have a feeling. I have this inkling that I'm early. I'm probably not, but maybe I am. I don't know. I'm going to go in, and you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see this email series that I made yesterday, feel free, even if you're not interested in what I do. But it's still, it's for grins and giggles. You can go to boldworldplanners.com/subscribe. When you subscribe there, don't feel bad about it. Like, that email list that's there, it's not like I have to pay for every name on the list. But you will start getting these weekly videos, talk about money mindset and just fun exercises to bring joy around your money, which will attract more money into your life. It's all kinds of law of attraction goodness. And I don't really even talk a whole lot about law of attraction in it, but it's just fun. It's fun videos. And there's a lot more to come. Because I have a great group of ladies who are giving me good examples and inspiring me to take the ideas that I have and actually make them into reality. So, bye.